Hello, my lovely. We know as women with adult diagnosed ADHD that we did not get to where we are right now by doing the things the way that everybody else did. We know we felt like the weirdo in the room. I know I did for a really long time. We're also natural born storytellers and disruptors. We love to shake shit up. We don't like to be told what to do, but also low key help us by telling us what to do in a way that speaks to our brains because our brains are wired to see the world in a different way. And I know that my diagnosis, which happened while running this business, changed my whole life. I don't say that anecdotally at all. It literally changed everything. It also changed my business for the better. And here's why. I got curious. I started working with the way my brain worked. I started simplifying to scale and I started creating recurring revenue. And that's what I teach my clients to do as well. It's my signature method. It's called the spicy minded way. And all that means is that my ADHD brain and 25 years of business experience talks to your ADHD brain and we figure out what works for you. Today, I have something special. Every once in a while, I like to bring on my OBM, Brooke Norlin, and have a discussion. We talk about many different types of topics. Sometimes it's tech, sometimes it's like deeper business topics. And today, we are going to talk about creating a client road that all goes together. And then we had a really cool moment before we started recording where we were talking about collaboration versus competition. And so I hit record because the conversation we were having was pretty epic and needed to be spoken to, and you need to hear it as well. So that is what we're going to do today. We're going to have Brooke on and we're going to have the conversation. So from one ADHD human to another, turn the volume up to an 11 and get ready to see yourself in these stories. Plus, you're going to learn a thing or two. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneur, the podcast for feral ADHD elder millennial women who refuse to play by the rules. My name is Carrie. I'm your host. I'm the ADHD business alchemist and the chief weirdo of Carrie Out Loud. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found the podcast. You found it on an awesome day. If this episode has an impact on you, could you do me a quick favor? Subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can come back every Wednesday and leave a 5-star review because that helps other women find this podcast. And since I understand your ADHD, both professionally and personally, each episode has a few topics because our brains kind of work in trains of thought. And so that is how I deliver this podcast, a little bit of train of thought. So today I have invited my OBM Brooke Norlin in for a conversation. We recorded, so let's go ahead and get the discussion started. And here we go. Today I'm having Brooke, my OBM, with me. I have her come on from time to time because I like you to understand how I run the back end of my business, how she helps, the things she does, the things I do, etc. And especially since I'm going for that 7-figure business, it's really important to share the things that take place behind the scenes. So we're going to have a conversation today about a couple of things. The first thing we're going to talk about is collaboration over competition. And then we will talk about a freebie we just put together and how it kind of marries into our offers, how she does it, how I do it, basically how we do it similarly. So let's start with the collaboration over competition. We were talking before we hit record and we were trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to talk about. And we just started having this conversation. I'm like, I need to hit record. So hit record to talk about it. But she said something very powerful, and I'm going to have her say it again because we look around us and think this person's doing that. Oh, well, it's already taken. It's already done. Somebody else is already. Burp, burp, burp. And so here's a different take and a different reframe when you're looking at it as there's enough for everyone to go around. So tell me what you had said, Brooke.
Yeah. So we were talking about how we have a lot of the same ideal client,
Mhm.
and we talk about a lot of the same things.
Mhm.
And I was like, I feel healed in a way
Yeah.
because through all this conversation and through all of the ideas that we've bounced back and forth between each other, I have never once thought, that's mine. She took that, or that was
Mhm.
hers and I can't use it. Not like, we don't steal it or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's been this growth that we've
Yeah.
done together
Yeah.
versus this hoarding, it's mine and I can't share.
Right. Right. And that's really hard for women with ADHD because, we get taken advantage of a lot before we knew we had ADHD, or if we have trauma, that's another thing that can factor in. And I know not pretend to be an expert about trauma. I am not a psychologist, but I know that that can play a factor. And and so it's funny because I feel the same way as I have really honed in on who I'm working with. And Brooke is not only my OBM, but she's also a client. Is that okay to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. She's also my client, and we've been working together for 10 months, and I've gotten to see her start stepping more into exactly where she's supposed to be, but that takes time figuring out who that client is, trying different offers or putting an offer out there, figuring out what she wants to keep, what she wants to take away, refinement and things like this. And we were talking recently about my, ideal, or as I call it, my fuck yes clients. And we were talking about her pocket OBM club and like really who is it for? Like truly who is it for? And I was sitting and I'm like, we have the same fuck yes client for the most part.
Right.
And she's always been attracted to working with other people who suspect they have ADHD or have ADHD because, our ADHD brains talk to other ADHD brains in a language that not everybody understands. It's like I joke at ADHDEs, right? Like legalese, right? Or, we speak each other's brains language, and it's just a different kind of collaboration. And so having been able to work with other ADHD women like Brooke and being an ADHD woman, that's why I call my method the spicy minded way, is because I made that up. But it's not a method like you do A and then you do B and then you do C. The spicy minded way is I got the ADHD brain, you got the ADHD brain. And when they come together, it's like, watch the fuck out. And so, one of the things I love about Brooke is she's really helped me understand that I'm capable of doing that, helping women kind of bridge that middle gap where they can't figure this out. So we were talking about her ideal client, and I'm like, I think it's kind of like the same person in a way. We do totally different things. She's an OBM, I'm a business mentor, coach, etc. But how we kind of do things similar, like
Yeah.
it's probably the same ideal person.
Well,
And tell them what you told me that, like, because I was like, I don't want to shove this down your throat. I don't want to like lead you into being, having an ideal client that isn't who you truly want to be of service to. And tell the people what you told me.
yeah, what I said was that uh you'll never make me do something I don't want to do.
Right.
If Because I will fight you probably to the death before you can make me do anything.
It's
Um
like Gladiator and shit. I will take you
yeah.
down. Get on your horse, bitch. We're going.
But if I ever do something almost instantly after you've told me to do it, it's because I kind of just need you to someone to give me the permission to do so. It's already been in
Mhm,
here
mhm.
marinating. Somebody just needed to say,
Right.
I think that's what it is, Brooke. And you're like, yeah, it is. Thanks. Because
Thanks.
low key, tell me what to do, but don't tell me what to
Ah!
do.
You mean the opening of the podcast?
Right?
Yes, that's exactly why I put those words in there because it's true. It's like, don't tell me what to do, but also low key, like, tell me what to do so I can fix my shit or bridge my shit or, clear out the gunk and get clear on an offer or, how do I tweak an offer or, those kind of things. Like these are really the things I'm good at. I gotta tell you, Brooke is really good at the back end pieces of that and how it comes together. Like I make a lot of book recommendations, right? And she's like, "Well, you should become an affiliate with Amazon and create a list of the books and the things that you suggest to people and have that be a freebie." And I was like, "That's fucking brilliant." Okay. So of course, Brooke doesn't know this yet, but I did get my affiliation with them. So, and then we're going to create that eventually as a freebie. But, we're able to have these ideas. It's not just I own a business and she owns a business and I do my business and she does what she does. It's a collaboration. Like literally, it's a collaboration on the back end. And so that's been really, really cool.
It
How's
has
it
been.
been for you? Because for me, it's been very healing as
Yeah.
well. But yeah.
Yeah. The healing thing. I mean, like we could go into a whole part of that, but I think for me, having someone that I feel like I can trust to
Yes.
share ideas with,
Mhm.
someone that I feel like no matter, well, and this comes from just getting to a different place in your life too, but just understanding that no matter what I share with you and no matter what piece maybe you take away from what I say or I take from what you say,
Mhm.
it's still our very own.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly like thrilled to pieces if I can share a little piece of something of with you that you can take and make into something, invite, and I would imagine vice versa, because
Oh, yeah, for
I've
sure.
seen you cry.
I know, like, I'll say
Um,
something and you'll, like, because Brooke will take action. She doesn't fuck
mm,
around. Like, when that permission comes, or I don't even like to call it validation because she's always known on the inside. Like, her gut, your gut is really strong, Brooke. But it's like, I think as ADHD women, we tend to, one, not trust other people at times, and two, more importantly than that, we don't trust ourselves and our own gut instincts because there is some story we tell ourselves about why this isn't the right thing or that isn't the right thing. Like, I know Brooke was telling herself this certain story that I won't go into, but when we talked about it, I was like, that's just a story. And she's like, it is. And next thing I know, I go to her YouTube and to her podcast that she just started, which is fucking spectacular. And I see the new, I do like FES client info there. And I'm like, because she just executes, right? She just, once that comes through and that, like, yes, this is really great. And frankly, I sometimes still need that too. But I think because we trust each other, we're also able to trust ourselves better.
mhm.
We can trust our own selves better than just than before we had this, because trust is a huge issue for ADHD people, and handing over our business in any capacity, especially if there's like a messy back end and we're like, I don't want anyone to see this shit, that stuff that can stop us from growth, from revenue, from breaking through a revenue new ceiling. Because I heard this one time and it made me laugh. We'd rather fail doing it ourselves than ask for help. It's like we'd rather get poked in the eye with a hot stick than say, "Can you help me with this real, please?" So, that's something I think we both experience. So, what do you think is working together? What do you think has been the biggest shift for you mentally or emotionally and in your business overall?
Oh,
Um,
Carrie, that's a laundry list. It really, really is.
does the laundry get put away?
No,
No.
no, I have a
7 to 10
huge
busy
pile on
days.
my bed right now. Uh,
Same.
no, but I mean, I think, uh, like me being a verbal processor
Mhm,
and having someone that to listen to me
mhm,
and to understand the way that my brain is working, for me not to actually have to fully form an idea for you to understand what I'm saying, or like, because sometimes it's all here but
mhm.
what comes out here is not the same.
Right.
But you can connect that and still understand what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
um that's a big thing, because sometimes not only can I not get it out of here to speak the words, I can't get it out of here to make like the next thing happen.
Right.
So that's been life changing, business changing for me.
Mhm.
But like I said, having someone that I can trust fully
Mm.
and with everything, because I think sometimes we get into like a situation with a business mentor where we don't necessarily want to say all the things for fear of maybe judgment,
Mhm.
or fear of maybe this person doesn't have my best interest in mind and maybe they'll take my idea and do something with it.
Mhm.
Or maybe this person is going to, maybe this person just doesn't really get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a real quick thing, when Brooke and I first, like, when we first actually like truly connected, I'd been following her for a while. She'd had some situations that were not so fun, and I would just say something nice from time to time because one, I thought her content was great. I thought the way you don't know this, but I envied the way she could speak to the camera with such ease when I still felt so masked up all the time. And I was like, damn, how does she do that? And because I was just like learning to really be myself and really unmask. And so from time to time, I would say something or I'd be like, oh, this is really cool or whatever. And, for a while, she's like, what the fuck do you want from me? Like the thought is, what does this person want from me? What
Mhm.
does this person want? And the more I just literally, because I just dug her, thought she was really cool. And so I was saying things just to say them because that's exactly what I was thinking. And there was that thought of, is there ulterior motive? And then what she trusted there wasn't, she asked to do a spotlight on my business. And I was like, ooh. And that was right when I was introducing the Neurospicy Sisterhood. And we talked about it. I think we did a live.
We
I'm pretty
did.
sure we did a live. And then a couple days later, she come creeping into my DMs going, hey, so the sisterhood, like, can you tell me about that? That's when she came in. And then eventually we started doing one-on-one coaching. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of the evolution. But we had to trust, she had to build that trust,
Mhm.
right? That road of trust.
Yeah.
So can you speak to that a little bit from your end? Because that was the experience
Yeah.
on my end, but I'd
Yeah.
love to have you share that.
Well, the first time you messaged me, that was exactly my thoughts. Like, what does she want? What is she going to try to sell me? What is she going to ask from me? Whatever it was. I didn't know you,
Right,
obviously,
right.
but I had been conditioned through a lot of the ways that I had been taught to market to people that you really didn't have conversations with people unless you had some sort of motive behind that, first of
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just so instantly thought, I'm not going to engage.
Was it
Uh,
like a wall that going there, like a wall or a
yeah,
guard that you're just like, nope, and it went right?
100%. It was like, this lady wants something from me.
Nope.
Um,
She's like, you're like,
I ain't
I'm a hard nope to that. Not going to
gonna
respond. Bye.
slam the door in your face. But yeah, but you were so persistent in such a loving way.
Mm,
It was,
mm-hmm.
and it took me a really long time, but it took to trust that you were just there because you wanted to connect with another human being
Yeah.
versus and obviously it all worked out in the end and we're working together. But like,
Thank God.
yeah, I know.
Thank the universe. Thank whatever. Thank, you can
Yes.
say whatever you want. Thank whatever. Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
Grateful. Grateful. So grateful.
Yeah.
Not even joking.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, it was just so funny because the story is hilarious now because of
Yeah.
where we are today. I was like, go away, woman. I ain't buying what you're selling.
And I wasn't selling nothing because I
No
was
Girl
still
Scout
like,
cookies.
well, and I was still in a place of like, I don't even know, like, I was still navigating what I was doing in the first place. I was navigating like who were my clients, and I had just been diagnosed with ADHD. And then I was like, oh, she's talking about this too. Okay, we have this in common. Like, and then we started kind of having that commonality. And, I think that just kind of helped each of us trust because, like I said, I hadn't really trusted or befriended somebody new since I was so deeply hurt back in 2019. I had not let in. I was like, no, we're just going to arm's length distance this shit. And I had made some relationships, and there was some people that I connected with, but it was just different. Like, it was like, oh, this is somebody who, like, I like her as a friend, like as a friend. And part of social media is networking. Part of it is finding business friends that you can talk with. Some of it is working together. It's not all, it's multi-purpose. And for me, I always saw it as multi-purpose. Like, there are just people that I was like, oh, this person is really fucking cool. I kind of want to be a friend, and taking that chance because
Mhm.
I couldn't take that chance for so long. And I was like, something has to give. Something has to give. And between you and Andy, who is another friend of ours, she's the other 300% club with the pink hair. If you don't know her, Andy with the pink hair. Um, you know, that trio we have a place to go and dump an idea, or we don't even necessarily want feedback. We just want to be like, blah, here's the idea. Blah. You don't have to tell me anything. I just want to somewhere to put it so I can get it out of my body. And so we have to find those friends that are not behind a paywall,
Mhm.
not behind a paywall. They're just people, our people. Yeah. Find that, find a way to open yourself up to that a little bit more if you're listening and this is something you struggle with, because you have no idea how amazing it can be until you at least give it a shot. And Brooke had every reason not to. Every reason not to. And there was just a point where she was like, this damn bitch is not going to leave me alone. Just kidding. But, like that
No.
trepidation turned to like, oh, she's actually genuinely gives a shit about women just in general and in business and overall, because I do. It's how I was designed. I've been owning my own business since I was 24 and mentoring women back then when I was 24, 25 years old. Like I joke that women in business are one of my hyper focuses because it's been half my life. Like ain't going nowhere. Right. But once I really found who I could help and what I could help them with the best, that was something that Brooke was also able to help me figure out. Is that the same on your side? That's
Yeah.
helped you figure it out too? Or
Yeah. Well, watching you build behind the scenes
Mhm.
and looking at the pieces you're connecting and being able to see someone who is so good at what she does to put all these pieces together has helped me in so many ways. It's helped me to get better at what I do. You're top-notch person,
Thank you.
and your business, like you said, you are also not someone who just sits still. Like you're going to take action. You've got a
Mhm.
plan. You're going to go.
Mhm.
And being able to see how you put all those pieces together help me to not only watch someone put their business together and understand how that works for you on from your side versus just the side that I help people with,
Yes.
but also it's given me some experience in different pieces of technology and things. And I love working with you because you're willing to try different things too.
Yeah.
It's like, does this work? Does that work?
Mhm.
What's better? How do we communicate? Can we find a better way to communicate? All those things too. But yeah, I can't remember the original question.
That's okay. Squirrel.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
But
And
yes.
the other thing, taking a little bit of, the next train is one of the things we did want to talk about is putting those things together. And I'll tell you, for a while in my own business, there were things for me that weren't connecting. They just weren't connecting. And I mean, I understand there are freebies and I understand there's funnels and I understand, I hate the word funnel because I feel like I'm just like putting oil in a car. Like people aren't oil in a car. People are people. So it's like that client road, that client ascension road, right? And so my brain was just, it wasn't connecting certain things for a while. I think part of it was ADHD. It's like I couldn't see the patterns, I couldn't see how it went together. And then I started getting little bits and pieces from different places, and I was able to take those things and actually formulate something. And then Unfuck Your Money Honey came in, and it was this middle place, this program that essentially I have this free thing to do a business audit that Brooke is currently working on for me. So it's 3 days where you get emails with a video because we don't do boring. We don't do boring freebies here. And then that leads to seeing if they want more of that, like that is in Unfuck Your Money Honey. And that product also almost like onboards clients. And I mean onboarding as in you understand what I do and what I can help with as I walk you through it. And if you take the course and you don't ever talk to me again, you're still going to get a lot out of it. But it's also to show, okay, do I dig this chick? Can I put my feet in the shoes of somebody who would want to work with her, either in the sisterhood or one on one, or eventually I'm going to have a mastermind, but that's later down the road. And so once my brain was like, oh, so the freebie leads into this offer, and then this offer leads into the sisterhood if they want additional one on one support. And then if they end up, and, things that were like, now I look back, I'm like, duh, Carrie, like, but I think because I wasn't clear
Mhm.
on what I helped people do the best. Once I was clear on that, all of it came. it just whoosh, it came. And so as Brooke was kind of walking through that with me, we both started kind of seeing this road of like, oh,
Mhm.
this is kind of an onboarding type of thing, but not in a way that's like, all I do is talk about me. No, it actually has information, very helpful, going to help you change your business. But also, if you do choose to work with me, you're seeing some of the pieces that I actually help with. And you can know, okay, she's for me. And so how does that work in your biz? Because
Yeah.
we've just recently like put this together and you helped me with that freebie on the back end. And we'll talk a little bit about the tech in a couple minutes because that's one of Brooke's specialties. But, tell me if the same kind of connected for you or
Yeah, I remember actually having a conversation with you, I don't know, maybe a month or 2 ago, where we were talking just wanna be able to have everyone understand who they're working with before they get to me,
yes.
um, so that we don't have to get into the situation where we're kind of interviewing up close and up in person if we're not at least kind of sure that we wanna work together at some
Mhm.
point. I feel like I should do it through freebie or something like that, and, then you helped me develop the person I was talking to, because if you don't know who you're talking to, then the freebie's hard. So, like,
Yes.
I know I'm putting this all together in my brain, but all these pieces are kind of like, this is how our relationship works.
Yeah.
Um, we started having this conversation, and then you built this amazing thing where you are literally onboarding people, and then, that helped me to understand in my business too, like what
Mhm.
freebie I needed to
Mhm.
create in order to talk to my people too. It's just been, I mean, it's
Right.
very symbiotic, but
It's like less throwing spaghetti against the wall and
yeah.
truly knowing who the client is, knowing what it is they need the most that you can actually help with, and leaning into creating that path. Because again, it is a way for people to see if you are the person for them. And so once my brain was like, okay, the freebie relates to this program to see if they want to if they want to grab Unfuck Your Money, Honey, then doing that program on the end of it, I have a one-on-one if it's a bump up. And the reason I did that is because I know that ADHD women that we need time frames.
Mhm,
So one of the things I do is with that program, every 5 days or so, you're going to get an email from me. Is it automated? Yes, of course it's automated. Am I on the other side when you reply? Yep. So I can be responding,
mhm,
and if somebody has a question, they can email me and hit reply. So they know I'm kind of in there with them and still walking them a little bit through it. And then if they end up getting the 90-minute sesh, they have to book it within 30 days or they lose the session. And it's not because I'm an asshole or I want to take all the money. It's because it gives them a deadline. Okay, in the next 30 days, I need to get through this course and do the work. I don't put busy work in there. So
mhm,
anything that I'm asking you to do or having you do is very purposeful. Very purposeful. And so it's not a ton of worksheets. I think there's three. It's like nothing. But it kind of walks others how to walk the same path, but in the way that works for their brain. And if they haven't connected it yet, I've helped them connect it by them literally watching that process that they're going through with me and
mhm,
saying, oh my gosh, this connects well for my brain. And it's all related. And the best part is it simplifies your messaging stays the same. It's all the same because it's wrapped around the thing you do best that you help with the best. It's not general, it's specific. And Brooke and I have talked about this many times. When you get more and more and more pinpointed with who your ideal fuck yes person is, that net widens. You
mhm,
get seen more. And like today I told Brooke, I was on Threads because I've always liked to play around on Threads. I like to play around with my messaging on there. And I put this thing that was like uber specific, like elder millennial stuck in the middle, stuck in the middle space, who's ready to, unfuck their situation basically and needs that, bridge. I'm like, dear algorithm, this is who I'm looking for. 2,000 views, all these freaking comments. And I'm like, I hit the messaging right on the head
mhm.
because I've been working on really knowing who that person is. Even though I've been taught to try to know who that person is for a long ass time, it finally
Yeah, that's
clicked.
a really good point.
It clicked, right? Did you
Yeah.
have a moment like that too, or moments like that too along your way as we work
Yeah.
together?
Yeah. So it's really funny because, like you said, your entire, you start to learn marketing and you learn that you're supposed to talk to a target audience, right? An
Yeah.
ideal person. And that,
Mhm.
um, and every single time you write that person down, you think, oh, I've nailed it. I've got it. I'm there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then you're just like,
God.
and so, I mean, I've been doing this for almost 20 years and every time I've done it, I mean, I can tell you how many times I've done it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is it. This is like the creme de la creme.
Mhm.
It's not. Please don't stop ever establishing who that is, because I mean, refining who that is,
Yeah.
because you think you've got it, but you don't until, I mean, you need to get in there. And even now, like, I know you've helped me get pretty clear and narrow on who it is, but I know there's more pieces to her that
Yeah.
I have not
Yeah.
discovered. And you got to be curious,
Mhm.
ADHD brain.
Yeah, and if you go into like ChatGPT and you really have a good idea for your ideal client is, and one of my favorite prompts is, what are things about my ideal client that I don't know or that I may not have thought of? And it'll give you some shit and you're like, "Oh, damn, I did this the other day and it described me." And I was like, "Fuck you." Like, look at you. But what I mean is I'm asking what's the layer under the surface layers?
Mhm.
What is underneath the things? Like for ADHD women, it's like we've failed before. So we have this fear of failing again. So why would I invest in myself? Because I just am going to fuck it up. Or I haven't been able to be successful before, whatever. But it's like, since I work with late diagnosed ADHD women later in life, I can say, yeah, do not look at your history as a way of determining your future because you have more information now. You have a deeper understanding now. Now you can figure out how to support your brain and build your business around the way you think and your life. And the fact that some days you could write a dissertation in 2 days and other days is potato day. Brooke and I love the
We
potato
do
day
love a good
freeze.
potato day.
Yeah, yeah. But there's some times where we have to have those. And so really learning how to understand that those ebbs and flows happen and setting up our business in a way where those ebbs and flows are allowed to happen. And we now are both really helping others create recurring revenue as opposed to like hustling it all the time for like trying to find it's like we don't have to do that, especially when you have a client road. And then what ends up happening, and you and I have talked about this, is we find our Swifties, those women who will go onto their stories without us ever asking and shouting about us from the rooftop or sending a testimonial that I did not ask for. Like those things happen because I really give a shit. And so when you start seeing these, what I call Swifties, it's working just in general by being good to your people. You're working smarter, not harder. Referrals come more easily. Referrals come with a vicarious amount of trust, not full trust, but a vicarious amount of trust. Vicarious, get it? Haha. um, my husband's like, "You need to do something with that." I'm like, "No one's gonna get it."
I
Um,
get it.
yeah, well, you get me, so that's why. But yeah, no, I just it's just been a really interesting road to finally figure this piece out and feel like, okay, I'm coming out of a little bit of this messy middle. I kind of came up with the idea of the mini audit and then I gave it to Brooke. Brooke, let them know what you do. So I create the copy for the emails, I create the videos for like the 3 days, and then I hand it over to Brooke and here's what she does for me.
Yeah. So there's certain things that only you can do. I mean, there's no replacement for Carrie and her business whatsoever. But there's a lot of things that she does that honestly waste her time.
Yep.
She's better off showing up in front of her people, talking to people, developing new ideas, things like that. The things that waste her time are connecting the tech in the background,
Hmm.
putting the funnel together in,
Hmm.
it can we use Kajabi. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. So into Kajabi and creating the funnel. So we've got to create a landing page. We have
Hmm.
to create the email sequence that goes with it. We got to put the videos onto YouTube so that you can put the videos into the email sequence. We've got to
And
make
those
sure,
videos are private.
yes,
So only
private on,
somebody getting the email is going to be
you
able to
can, yeah.
find those.
Yeah, and you can do that other ways too. Like
Mhm.
we can do looms, or we could do. There's
Well,
all
we could
kinds.
even do landing pages where we embed it right
Yeah,
there in Kajabi, but
yeah.
YouTube's
This is
just fucking easier.
what's what worked for us right now. But
Yeah.
there's all kinds of things you can do.
Mhm.
If you want to put it behind more protection, like where this is a freebie, it's not the end of the world if someone shares the link with someone else. So we didn't
Sure.
worry about it too much. And I don't think that anybody. I mean, people are pretty respectful. Anyway, sidebar. Um, but yeah, so we do all those emails, we put it together, but then we also have to connect those emails to an offer because after she's got her freebie there, we have an offer that she needs put together. So we put together the landing page for the offer, we put
Mhm.
together the pricing for the offer, we connect that to the email sequence. There is so much stuff that happens in that back end. If Carrie was spending all the time doing that, she would not have come up with Unfuck Your Money, Honey.
Right.
I mean, she would have, but she might not have had the time to develop it. She might not have had time to record the emails. She might not have had time the videos, not the emails.
Right. I
So
mean, that
that,
shit came in hot. It just
yeah,
like whoosh, because I
yeah,
had the freedom in my mind, and I had things that were not on my brain plate falling off everywhere. And that chaos when I think of our brains as a plate. And if you have the right amount on your plate, nothing's falling off. But with ADHD women, we're like, I'm getting my Thanksgiving pants and I'm going to the buffet and we're going to put it all on there. Right. And then we're like wondering, oh, well, how did I drop that ball? Or why isn't this connecting? Or why can't I make sense of how A plus B equals C plus D? So when something like this is handed over, I get to do the things and create the things that are my part and not spend the time that I could be spending with clients and doing my best work and letting Brooke be in her zone of genius and doing the things she fucking loves. I bless you, bless your heart for not bless your heart, but like seriously, bless you
right.
for the fact that you love the things that you love, because I feel safe and secure handing those things to you, knowing that it's going to be done. It's going to be done well. I'm always going to get to review it, make sure that if I have any tweaks, I can just make those because I know Kajabi really well now. And I don't have to take my time that I could be dedicating to maybe another client
Mm-hmm.
by doing that. And it's just a different, it's something that if you are going to step out of being that survival mode solopreneur and you're going to become a confident as fuck CEO, there are things you are going to have to let go of control of, but you always have the final checkoff. You always have the final, okay, looks good, let's go. It's not like somebody's just taking over your business. And that was one of the things that, you know, I've really been able to lean into because I do trust that she's going to get things done when she says she's going to get things done. We communicate on Voxer about business and on Instagram about personal or just being fun or weird or ridiculous or sending reels or whatever. We know we have two distinct places, and that when something shows up on Voxer, that's a business related. Okay, we're both going to look at that. Like I'm going to look at that quicker than I'm going to look at a DM sometimes, not from Brooke, but just in general, because
Right.
that's where my clients live. Like if I have a client who's on Voxer, that's always going to be the priority, right?
Right. But it also allows us to have boundaries around it too. So like on the weekend, if you send me a Voxer, I don't check it. And if
Nope,
you
not
know
till
that,
Monday. Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I might, but you know what I mean? Like it's not going to
Yeah.
get done on
Well,
Monday.
yeah, and you know how our fucking brains work.
Yeah.
If I don't drop it in there, it ain't happening. I'm not going to
Right.
remember in 2 days necessarily. It's not because I'm dumb and I can't remember things. It's just that, shit comes and goes real quick. I mean, our brains can be a pasta strainer. It's like, oh, that went through that hole. Oh, well, I guess it wasn't that important. But I can just drop it in the Voxer in a voice note, or I can drop it in there, just type it out. And then on Monday, when she's, back at it, and it creates boundaries. And that's one of the things that a lot of ADHD women do not do.
Mm.
Have boundaries. Don't even think about boundaries. Letting everybody run your time. And that's a big fat no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that has been really cool too, is that I know when I drop something in there, it's to drop it in there for when she comes back to work, then she can talk to me about it. We may be even talking in the DMs on a weekend. We're not talking about that.
Right.
That's our fucking weekend. We take that time.
That comes back to that whole thing we were talking about with trust with me too, because like I had some trust issues, and obviously Carrie had to break down some walls. Like Carrie's had some trust issues and letting some things go,
Yes.
and and we've broken through that together too.
Hmm.
So you have to find someone you want to work with that you can trust, right?
Right.
But I think that's been pretty powerful for both of us as well.
I agree. And one of the things you have said, which I think is a really good thing to just tell, as we call them, the people, listening,
The
is
people.
that if you want to understand how somebody works, oftentimes when you are hiring a contractor or you're having somebody do something specific in your business, they'll offer you a one-time service and they'll do one thing for you or do something specific to help you.
Mhm.
Taking advantage of that will give you an idea if you jive,
Yep.
how you feel, your gut instinct. Is it telling you you can trust them, or is it saying, we're going to finish this project and you're a no? So for me, that would be what I call, it's my clarity sesh. My clarity sesh is my 90-minute session where I basically shoot a fire hose at you based on a specific thing you need dealt with, or we take a look at your offer suite and see if anything is disconnected. I can kind of fill in those gaps or holes or whatever. But what that does is it allows the person who's like, I'm not sure she's my person. I'm like, on a gut level, I think she is, but let's see how it works when we are in cahoots. And people can tell very clearly, yes, she's for me. No, she's not for me. And I don't show up online any differently than what you get. So that is another key thing, is that it's taken me a very long time to realize that um, I want to make sure that whether I'm walking down the street and saying hello to you, or I am in my stories and talking, that it's exactly the same person you're going to get. Some days I'll have some makeup on, some days I won't. Some days I'm wearing a t-shirt, some days I'm wearing a cardigan. Some day, like, there's no rhyme or reason, because I just don't, like, one of my business mentors is just like, oh, her aesthetic. I just salivate. I'm just like, I love your aesthetic. It's not going to be me. And I contended with that for a while. I'm like, I just want to make it all look so beautiful like that. And then I'm like, wait, I get to make it look so beautiful in my own way. And then I have people come in the DMs saying, I just love you because you're so fucking authentic. I'm like, that is the biggest compliment ever, because I'm just radically being myself. It has been terrifying to me because radically being myself has not always been accepted. And so we would then fear, oh, is somebody going to come in and judge? If I say something polarizing, I'm going to get negative comments. And we finally come to that point where it's like, my fear of judgment is less than my desire to help the women I am designed literally to help. Get the fuck out of your own way. Say the things. Say the things. And I've seen this in real time. I've had the fucking honor to see this happen with Brooke in real time. Sometimes I'm watching her stories and I'm like, God damn, this shit. This makes me so proud. So happy. Not like she's a child or something, but just stepping into that. What do you think has allowed you not finally, but allowed you more? Because you've always seemed very at ease on camera to me,
Yeah.
but how did you finally step into more of your message, which is tell the people your message is like, we're here to fucking disrupt. And tell them about
Yeah.
like the rebellion. I want them to understand your messaging is like, our
Yeah.
messaging is similar. It's different, but
It is.
very same vein.
One of the big things that I've been able to step into lately, and I'll tell the people that it was due to some help that you gave me, but is that running a business as a female entrepreneur is a rebellion. It is an
Mhm.
act of resistance. It is a way to change the world.
Yeah.
And I've always held that in the back of my mind. It's something that I've always believed in my heart of hearts, but I shouldn't say always.
Well, I'll have you tell the story briefly after you tell the story about the woman
We'll
who
see.
made your brain explode,
Yeah.
when that changed for you.
But I was talking to Carrie about all of this and how I've got so much that I'm still holding back inside because I'm afraid of the world is so polarized, and I don't in everything and everywhere. And we know that polarization is good in business to some extent,
Mhm.
but it's also scary in other ways. And So I
Yeah.
was holding back some of those things for fear of alienating some people that I cared for, or fear of alienating people who I had maybe had around me for a really long time, and they kind of felt like a comfort blanket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we started talking about it, and I got a little bit more familiar with how I wanted to say the words and how I wanted to show up with you coached me through that. Then it just started coming out because you gave me the permission. That's such a weird way to say it, but you know what I mean? That's, I don't know how else to describe
Except
it.
I accept you unconditionally,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you accept me as a human unconditionally.
Right.
And when you have somebody who accepts you unconditionally and says, "Yeah, that's a fucking great idea." It's not like about validation. It's like this person accepts me unconditionally and is saying, you know, I will tell you straight up like, "Dude, no.
Mhm.
That ain't it."
Yeah.
Like, I will be blunt about it, but on the flip side, I will also be like, "Dude, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the shit," right? So,
Mhm.
because we have that trust and we can say those things to each other, that has just really helped create that knowing somebody unconditionally has your back, you're able to then show up because you know you have one person at the minimum who's like, "Fuck yeah."
Yes. But in reality, now there's a lot of people who are very excited about it, and that's really cool. So, but yeah, it's the you feel like you're weird until you find your people, and you realize you're
Mm,
not really all that. I mean, we're still weird. We like being weird. That's part of who we are, right? But
yeah.
until you find your people, you don't realize how like not weird you are.
Right. I even have an piece of embroidery that says, "Oh, I'll make it weird." Really fucking weird. It's embroidery. It's my Savage Stitcher. She's one of my favorites on Instagram. She makes like the funniest shit. But I thought that was hilarious. And one of the things, I call myself the chief weirdo of my business because I had felt like a weirdo in the negative sense for so long. I'm like, fuck this. I'm taking this word back. It belongs to
Own
me
it.
now. And it's a positive connotation. I am the chief weirdo around here. And, I think that gives other women the ability to go, oh yeah, because I have heard that. I've heard so often. I feel like a weirdo. I feel like but weirdo is a big one, or weird. Those are
Yeah.
2 words that I hear on repeat out of ADHD women's mouths. And then when we find somebody, like, "Is somebody gonna match my freak?" You know that? It's like, "Is somebody gonna match my weird?" Yes. There are
Yes.
people who are gonna match your weird, and they're going to be with you for a long time. They're your long-term clients. So instead of going wide and having just a bunch of people, you get to have less people and more depth. And let me tell you, that is gold. When somebody knows you and your business inside and out in a deeper way, you can make unreal progress. I know that from working with Brooke, myself as what she does for me, and it's for sure vice versa. I see that from her. And it's just so cool. It's cool.
It
But
is cool.
yeah, taking an opportunity to work with somebody on a short-term basis or on one project so that you can check your gut instinct. It's a different part of your brain. I'm reading a book by Simon Sinek, who I'm reading it again actually, and there's 2 parts of our brain. There's the logical, rational part of our brain, and then there's that part of our brain that's like, "Fuck yeah, she's my person." It doesn't have any logical anything. It's literally a vibe or a feel or something that comes off of you as a person, and they're like, "Yeah, that's my person." Um, there's no logic to that. That's like straight up gut instinct. And we do not like to trust our gut instinct. So I highly recommend next time you have a gut instinct, listen to it. Because how often, maybe you can answer this one too, Brooke, how often have you gone against your gut instinct and been like, I knew better? Gosh dang it, I knew. Has that ever
So
happened to you?
many times. Most of my life.
And let's finish it up with your cool story about how you finally realized that women making money is an act of rebellion, and the thing that finally switched you from where you had lived most of your life
Yeah.
to having that mind shift. I really would love to finish with this story.
Yeah. Yeah. So just short before time is that I never really thought about women making money in a positive way, or honestly, maybe gave it much thought at all. I didn't think about it, but I figured that it was just normal. Women were going to make less. Women maybe were just going to be homemakers. Women were just, and I don't say just in a downplay way. That's what was in my brain. And then one day I was attending a conference, and this female CEO of this giant company was talking, and she said to us, she said, just close your eyes, and if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. Um, but just imagine in your brain a woman in your life, not anyone who's famous or, that everybody knows, just someone in your life who is amazing to you, just like one of the most profound women to you. She's been a positive impact to you, whatever it is. Just imagine her and all of the amazing things that she makes you feel. And now imagine that she all of a sudden found herself in the top 1% of wealth in the world. How would the world look different? Because, don't tell me it wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
That woman would do amazing things with her money and change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind just went, I got goosey bumps. I'm just my mind is blue, because I thought women do things differently. We do things so much differently. We're wired differently. We are community builders. We are nurturers. We are, and
Yes.
again, I'm speaking in generalizations, but for the most part. And we are just compassionate human beings. And we're going to use our money so much differently than other people will.
Yeah. I joke that, we will give to causes and donate to different things to make the world better. And, dudes with money want to, set off dick rockets. You can send dick rockets into space. You're like, oh, that's not phallic at all. When you see these rockets, you're just like, oh, for the love of all that's holy. Like, no, but, and of course that's broad. I'm
Yes.
sure there are some women who would not, but for the most part, when we utilize money, when we have wealth and we distribute that wealth in ways that aren't to ourselves or our family, we distribute it to causes. And like one of the biggest goals for me as I continue to build my business is to give to ADHD research for women and girls, because it is lacking, and so, and I don't know how everybody feels about the Gates, right? Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, whatever, but when they separated, Melinda, she got her bajillion dollars, and she took a billion with a B and donated it to women and girls medical research, because in our society that is very male dominant and everything is about like how things affect men, she took her own money, $1 billion of that money, and put it somewhere with a great need. That is those are the women Brooke and I are here to help. Those are the women that we are here to support, because this is how we change the world. And don't think, oh, I'm just one person. Rosa Parks was one person. MLK was one person. I'm sure you have examples of one person.
Well, I think too that you don't even have to think about it in such big terms. Obviously we want more women represented in that wealth, right?
Right.
But the more women that we can find, even just finding their own example or their own definition of what wealth is in their life, also changes the world in small ways. If you can change your family's life with wealth, that it feels like wealth to you, that's change. That's changing the world.
And wealth isn't just money. It's wealth of time. It's wealth of relationships. It's wealth of money. It's wealth of freedom. It's wealth that helps you have additional choices for yourself, for your children, etc. And that's really, I think, one of the things that Brooke and I bond over is that core belief that women can change the world in the way they want to change it. Does that mean you want to be a millionaire? No. Maybe 100, 150,000 is like, oh, this would be so great. It's defined differently by every single woman. But that's why I don't say this dollar amount or that dollar amount. I'm only talking about the dollar amount for myself, because I've made 2 6-figure businesses before. I'm like, fuck it. let's try for 7 and take everyone along for the ride. And even if I don't hit it, which I will, but even if I don't, I will go so much farther than I would have if I wouldn't have just tried to go for it. And it gives women a mirror to say, oh, you're looking in a mirror, really. I'm just a mirror of what you could be. Brooke is just a mirror of what you can become. And that's why we are leaders, is because we're not at the head of a company because we got hired and that's what makes us a leader. We are leaders because we lean into showing others how shit can be done, and they will follow along because they want to do the same, and it really helps them say, fuck yes, if she can do it. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 49 years old. And I will tell you, one thing I never gave up on in my life was me. But it took me to 49 to get that diagnosis, and still over, like, in the first year at the very least, to even figure out what I wanted to help with the most. And then having Brooke help me figure that out as well was a huge deal. And, I always joke, not everybody loves Martha Stewart. That's fine. Watch her Netflix documentary. It was pretty fucking awesome. But she started her empire at 50. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine swimsuit edition at 80. So don't tell me you're too young. Don't tell me you're too old. Don't tell me you have ADHD and that's why you can't. Don't tell me that shit. What is wealth to you? Figure out what that is and fucking go for it. Do you have any final words, Brooke?
That was perfection. I think that's
chef's kiss.
yes.
Thank you so much for being here today to listen to our conversation. We'll have another one of these again soon, as I'm continuing to build and grow and talking about topics around that as well. And Brooke is supporting me with that as well. So she'll be able to speak to that kind of back end piece of it as well. And just know, I see you. I love you. I'm fucking rooting for you always. And don't forget to stay weird. Bye. Say bye, Brooke.
Bye.
We're such dorks. Okay, bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.